Hi everyone. I'm going to talk about getting started, which I find can sometimes be the hardest part of any project. In ACT, also known as acceptance and commitment therapy, there's 4 main things that can get in the way when we're trying to get something done. The first is when the task doesn't connect to our values, the things that we find energizing and give us a sense of doing something meaningful. It might also be that we've forgotten how the task connects with our values. Another reason we might find it hard to get started is because, as humans, we naturally avoid anything that we think will make us feel uncomfortable, such as the thoughts and feelings that come up when we think about doing the activity. If we avoid engaging with it, then we get a little break from those feelings, which feels good in the short term, but probably not so good in the medium to long run. We might also get hooked by excuses that our minds conjure up not to do the thing. These might be things like, I'm no good at this, or I have other stuff to do, or it won't be any good anyway. Or we might focus too much on doing it perfectly, as if perfect actually exists. We might worry about what people might think of what we produce. We might even have a critical voice in our head that says that we can't do it, or that we're not creative enough. We may also have set ourselves unrealistic goals. Perhaps they're too big or too perfect, or we might not have given ourselves enough time to complete the goals. If you're having trouble starting, have a think about what might be getting in the way. Is it distance from your values? Are you getting uncomfortable thoughts or feelings that you're trying to avoid? Are you becoming fused to unhelpful excuses, high standards, or a critical inner voice? Are your goals too far away? If you find that you're feeling disconnected from the values underpinning the activity, it might be helpful to first check that you're doing this for your own values, rather than a sense that you should be doing it, perhaps because you feel that it's something that other people might expect you to do. Once we've established that we're doing it because it's something that's important and meaningful to us, you might find that it's helpful to remember which of your values the activity brings to life. They might be values like creativity, self-care, adventurousness, or perhaps something else. You could also think about how the activity might be taking you closer to the life that you want. If you're avoiding certain thoughts and feelings, it can be a bit like trying to submerge a beach ball. The harder you try to do it, the more you focus on it and the more it pushes back into your awareness. It can also be tiring to try and push something away all the time. So instead, you could try dropping the struggle and just allowing the thoughts and feelings to ebb and flow, opening up to them by naming them. This is frustration. This is tiredness, and so on. You could also experiment with breathing into the feelings as they come up. And sometimes when we do this, we can change our relationship with those thoughts and feelings, and maybe even realize that they weren't so powerful after all. If you find that you're getting hooked or fused to unhelpful excuses or standards or critical inner voices, you could try some unhooking techniques. These might be noticing the thoughts and saying to yourself, it's just a thought, or even imagining icing the thought onto a cake or singing it to the sound of a tune like Singing in the Rain. You could even visualize the various thoughts and feelings that come up as passengers on the bus of your life. They might start to complain when you try to do something different, and it can be tempting to engage in argument with them or even stop the bus or try and throw them off. But if you do that, then your bus is no longer moving. You could try perhaps doing things differently by thanking the passengers for trying to help in their own ways, but saying, I'm going to do this my way this time. They might complain a bit, but eventually they will settle. Stephen Hayes suggests trying the impossible game, where you see the obstacle as a clue as the way to go. So if, for example, you want to play games instead of doing drawing, you might do the impossible and just do 5 minutes of drawing and see what happens. You could also use the impossible game with things like getting up in the morning or doing exercise. See how you get on. If our goals are too distant or unclear, then adjusting them can make them more achievable. Clarifying them from something like, I'm going to do some art, to something more precise like, I'll do my project tonight at 8 p.m. for half an hour, can make it much clearer. And this can also help with identifying sub-goals that might need to happen first, like making sure that all your materials are ready and waiting, so there's less obstacles that might get in the way of starting. You could also chunk the goal down into bite-sized steps, like starting with 5-minute bursts to make it less daunting and just start to build up some momentum. If the goal feels too pressured, you could reschedule it to reduce the pressure and perhaps reduce the anxiety that's making it hard to get started. It could also be helpful to tell someone about what you're doing and update them on your progress, as this can provide some motivation to keep going. It could be someone else doing a similar project or just someone that you trust to be supportive. Making an achievable plan and recording when you've completed bits of it can be helpful. If there's setbacks, then these can be an opportunity to think about perhaps what got in the way and then ways to overcome it in the future. Rewarding yourself for completing steps might be helpful, and this could take the form of mentally acknowledging it, or making yourself a hot drink or a drink that you enjoy, or even some sort of gift to yourself for reaching a significant milestone. I hope this video has given you some ideas about things that might help you with getting started. Good luck.